2 uploads in one day? What? Well, so I woke up this morning and I seen this. We have maintenance away progress. So I thought it'd be a good idea to go through it and see what they added, because it seems like it is worth the wait so far because of how much they changed to get this working. So I'll just start from the spot. Top, hello railroaders. Progress continues towards our maintenance of way update. In our last update, we shared a number of items, including that we're reworking track construction milestones to work with the MOW system. MOW trains will build the track and need to be supplied with ties, track, and ballast. Lots of ballast. And we're going to see what they've done. So, one thing that they've done is they've completely rewritten the way that loads appear on the cars. They've changed it from per model, having a set amount of loads and that, to a dynamic system to where it will just call for that information. The car will give its relative information for like dimensions and that, and then it will get the information that it needs. So not only will this reduce file size, but it'll also allow for modders to more easily access the load IDs. So, load dynamic models. Load models are an area that we've been needing to improve on, and MOW has helped bring that forefront during our testing. One of these challenges with the load models have been that our system required each car to be configured for each type of load, which means if we were to add tie models to our gondolas, we'd need to do that for every gondola, and they have, I think, 5. Pretty sure the base game has 5 different gondolas. New track load model, update the gondolas. Adding ties load model, update the gondolas. It obviously became tedious. If they needed to make changes later as well, it would be very tedious. It's also not very modding friendly. That requires modifying the cars to add the new loads, creating conflicts, and they say that they needed a better system. So their solution is to build a load volume within the rolling stock code. The load volume will describe the available space for the load within that car. Railroader then find an appropriate load model at runtime and put it in place. This makes it possible to provide varying models for the same loads without needing to configure each car for each possible load model. And then we get to see some of the loads in the railroad. So you've got your ballast, you've got the box car, you've got something in the back of there. This car's empty. You've got some what looks like steel I-beams, and then you've got ties in this one, which I actually quite like that ties model. It looks like it's not full yet, but that also could be its full texture because it might not be going all the way up. Because there's nothing securing those. These have clamps and those have supporting beams, so they're not going to shift too much. Not all loads can simply sit in a gondola though. Break bulk loads like dimensional lumber are often sent off by flat car, with stakes securing the load. If the load isn't specific to a car, how can we include stakes? After all, stakes are specific to the car and placed in the pockets along the side, which has actually been used in a couple of mods where they put stakes into the cars to be used for logs, like MVR's logging mod, where it uses these flat cars and it puts stakes in all of these, and then you can load 8 logs into them. To address this, we've created a way to toggle detail models on cars depending on certain properties to the car, including whether or not the load model calls for stakes. One thing that I'm hoping is that they potentially allow you to buy this flat car and be able to use it for logging. Because you might be able to use it in general, so why wouldn't you not be able to put stakes into it and load with logs? I hope that they'd basically adopt MVR's log car model for at least the stakes. These are certainly much simpler ways to build these things that would have been faster to build. We would think it worth the investment now to make Railroader more flexible in the future. It's obviously a great step to now make it easier for later development, because when we get to late development, there's probably going to be a lot more car load IDs, because we have a very minute amount of the Murphy branch, and when we get towards 1.0, we're probably going to have the entire Murphy branch from Murphy all the way to the Class 1. So it's better now to make make all these changes than make them when you've got that much line to deal with. On the topic of loads, we now have a better volume information. Railroad now takes density into consideration when determining how many pounds of a load are in a car. No more 50-ton box cars of dimensional lumphood. This isn't desert ironwood. I don't know what desert ironwood is. I'll be looking this up later, just to see what the hell they meant by that. So, another thing is we've got more MOW equipment. They've created a new MOW car model for coming maintenance needs. Like, good MOW equipment is repurposed. This one, for example, is one of the box cars, and they like how it turns out. I like how it looks. It doesn't look like there's an interior yet, from what I can see. But the fact that we've got like all these ladders and these step plate and the step plate to get up into the door, it's looking like this will be a promising model. Gondolas are also now available for purchase, and a very basic MOW train is part of the new company mode games, because with company mode you'll need to do the Ella Bridge first. That's usually because the tutorial is also going to need changing, because in the tutorial at the current moment we have the tutorial telling you to buy the milestone for Ella. That milestone is no longer going to be there. You're going to have to buy it yourself. So they're changing it so that we get the MOW train to start with, which will be really good because we get the rolling stock to start with. And then if we invest in more rolling stock to make stuff go a little bit faster, we do that. But this also means that modders might need to add, like, we might end up needing a couple more tracks in certain places. Like, we might need an area and width to help store our MOW train, because there's not a lot of space there. So we might get a new siding for the MOW train to sit in. Speaking of new equipment, they have added an ore car to the Alaka copper mines. We've got this little stubby hopper, which it's going to definitely bring variety, and the copper mine didn't really spawn that many cars anyways, so might as well have a few more cars of a smaller size, because this also opens the door to the smaller model sizes, because something with the British packs, which I'm going to be talking about later because something happened this morning, but with the British ones, because the cars were so small, they were causing problems with the switches. Like, they were a little glitchy. And now that we've got these smaller models, we can now just grab from these smaller models for our hitbox registration, rather than taking a large file and shrinking it down. We also have more data. Perhaps you noticed above, we've revamped our rolling stock to include more prototypical car data, as well as the reporting marks and number. So they've updated some of the stuff on the side and that. Also, this is what you wanted. This is what you people wanted. To build 13 miles of track. More ballast. In our last post, we mentioned what a ridiculous number of cars of ballast it would take to build 13 miles of railroad. 1,429 hoppers of ballast. Which is ridiculous. Also, they've added a ballast. You can see that the load is able to go across these. We heard from a number of you who were very much up for the challenge. You did this. So we've added a setting for construction realism. We're also increasing a lower realism setting. Including a lower realism setting. So you'll have the high realism setting where you will need this much ballast to get to Bryce it. Or something ridiculous like that. We're aiming to find a good location for an online ballast producer, or perhaps MOW loads. This would make for a fun alternative running. So something we're going to get ballast from is most likely Taliac and limestone. We're going to be getting ties from, obviously, the sawmill. And the one thing that we don't quite currently have yet is a steelworks, which is potentially getting added in this next update. From what I've heard, we're getting a steelworks that's going to be added. So I think when the update comes out, I might end up reworking a mod pack to do a very, very heavy decrease on traffic. Like, I might remove a mod in Bryson and swap it out for the trailer mod, because it's not as heavy, and it keeps Bryson smaller, just in case that's where they add the steelwork, because I think Bryson could definitely use a bit more traffic. It's got a massive yard. Granted, it doesn't get that helpful when you get the entire map, but details. On a related note, we've made a key enhancement on how construction works. Previously, the MOW crew would use cars as storage, working from them as they go. So you would unload a car, and then that would just go straight into the milestone. There was no in between. There was no like progression in the milestones that wouldn't show up. Now they gradually unload the car while construction continues. This frees up your cars more quickly as you can go fill them up. So something that I'm hoping to see at like something like Ella is when we deliver our cars there, there'll be like this little area to the side that they'll be unloading, and it'll show up with like resources that they're going to be using. And then we would leave, and then we would come back with a new load in that area, and that storage might be a lot lower. Until they're like, okay, we're not going to accept anymore because we've got everything we need. So you might end up with like 5 tons of ballast still when you finish your bridge, and then you'll need to go all the way down to Bryson just to dump the rest of that gravel, and then you'll probably end up storing the MOW train in Bryson until you want to build more track, or you need to go maintain some track. Which going down to Bryson might take a lot longer, because we might need to repair the track on the way down to Bryson. We might need to slowly be moving our train further down the line to help repair the track that's there, because there will probably end up being damaged track there because of the quote-unquote flood that happened and all that. You might have some washed out track. Towards experimental, this has been a challenging update cycle. A lot is changing, and we're still working on significant adjustments. Nevertheless, we are confident that these changes are necessary and important to the future of Railroader. Thank you for reading. We know that many of you are eager to take the new MOW features for a spin. We're working hard on it and plan to put it on experimental as soon as it's ready. So they don't know when this is going to be ready. I hope it's going to be ready in the next couple of months. Like coming like towards. I hope it at least releases before, say, December. Before Christmas time starts, so that we get this brand new look on Railroader when it starts. Another thing I think I'm seeing here is I think the third track in East Whip might have got its extended a bit, because it looks like there's 3 lanes of cars over here. And so now this comes to the more tragic part of Railroader. So earlier this morning, Raider left the WNCR Discord, and all of the mods he made on Nexus have been taken down. So if you did not have any of the British cars or any of the stuff by Raider, they are no longer on Nexus for the time being. No one really knows why this has happened, but for whatever reason, Raider is left for the time being, and the WNCR has subsequently shut off their British because they have access to unreleased models, and I don't think they're willing to show it without Raider being there, just in case obviously something goes wrong, or Raider didn't want that specific locomotive being showcased, because they had quite a few locomotives that we don't have. So that's a bit of unfortunate news. So as of right now, British stuff is being put on hold, so they're very glitchy and stuff. And due to this, I might end up like turning off the British pack and going to a normal pack. As you would have seen in earlier today's one, I was working on the British pack, and that was one that I recorded on Thursday. So this was before this incident happened, and I had it on a schedule release for this morning. So I didn't know that this was happening. I would have I would have paused that. I would have taken that video down if I caught it in time, but I wasn't up when the video released, so I'm just gonna leave it. But this is me just saying I did not know that this was going to happen this morning. So on that note, the Brit save might cease operation for a time being, and we might move to I might end up moving to the normal save, and I might rework some of the mods to make it a bit more traffic friendly and try to get that save up and running again. So that's really all I have to say. So I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully, we've got some good news.